In today's video, we're going to discuss the press release. The press release is one of the most important documents that companies or organizations generate. These are also the most common kind of document generated by a company. What is a press release? A press release is really just a written form of public relations, structured as a news announcement. We're trying to inform the public about something important going on inside the company or related to the company. The purpose of a press release is to give the public information. The information could be about the company or organization. It could be about the company's products or services. It could be about management changes, some kind of sponsorship of social action, or new policies that the company is generating and implementing. It could also be done to promote a favorable image of the organization. Big companies have departments that generate these kinds of documents, but not in small companies. So if you plan to own your own business or work in a small business, you need to know how to write your own press release. How is a press release distributed? So a press release can be sent to a publication or a media source. These are sent directly to an editor. In fact, you want to be able to name the editor specifically using their personal name when you're sending this out, because you want that person to know that they're important inside that organization. Using somebody's first and last name when you send them the document will show that you've done your homework. You may send these to editors of online magazines, newspapers, radio stations, TV stations, other forms of online media. Or these may be posted directly on the company's website. How you distribute this may impact who the readers are. Before we talk about readers, though, I want to make clear you need to fact-check your document before you distribute it. This is really important. Fact-checking ensures that there's no misunderstandings, and it also decreases any kind of legal liability for misstatements. If you send this to a publication's editor, they are your primary readers. So when I said that you want to make sure you use the first and last name of the person you're sending it to, that's because they're the person that's going to be reading your story and deciding whether to pursue it or not. If they decide to pursue your story, they will likely adapt it some for their audience and then publish it so that their audience can know about your story. If you post it on your company's website, then the potential readers are quite broad. Those readers could be your potential customers and clients, your current customers and clients, competitors who may be looking at your website to see what you have going on, the media. The media is often interested, especially in businesses that are geographically or economically close to their readership, job searchers who are considering working for your company, and researchers who may be looking for information for some kind of article or paper that they're writing. There are approximately 5 types of press releases. There's a general press release, a launch release, a press release that we would write about a product or service, a press release that would explain an executive or staff situation, or to notify people of an upcoming event. General press releases are written to generate positive interest or exposure for the company. We're just trying to get people to understand how great our organization is. So I've chosen a couple examples here for us. 2 organizations that are near and dear to our hearts here at Monmouth College, John Deere and Monmouth College. John Deere puts out general pressers about their volunteer opportunities. John Deere runs something called the John Deere Classic, which many of you may already know about, and they often put out pressers to talk about how great the event is, which really shines a great light on John Deere itself. So here's a little presser on volunteering. In the age of COVID-19, it's a little sad to read this because they would have volunteer registration opening on April 15th for an event that occurs in June, and at this point, we don't know if that event will occur or not. But you get the idea. A press release from Monmouth College. Here's an example. Monmouth College hailed nationally for value-added educational experience. So we had some high rankings in a national survey, and the college wants the world to know about it. You can create a press release for the launch of some kind of company, organization, website, or initiative. So I've chosen two examples here. The U.S. Department of Education has an education app, and a company called HarperCollins, who is a book producer and distributor. Here we see a press release from the U.S. Department of Education to announce the launch of a new app that high school students can use to help prepare them for their future. On HarperCollins' publisher's website, we can see in their press room press releases for lots and lots of different things over the last number of decades. You can click in specifically and look at the fact that they're just releasing this audio production of Vampire the Masquerade, Walk Among Us, right? So we get an idea of what they're releasing, what they're launching. They're launching this new audio version of this thing that has not been done before. A press release may be written to get positive news or to get ahead of a problem. So we could be trying to get people excited about a new product or a new version or upgrade of a product. So I've chosen the iPhone 11 to give us an example of that. It could be to talk about a product award or milestone. So you'll see that the auto manufacturers often are putting out their press releases on those JB Power Awards or whatever it is. We also could be attempting to recall an item or to share other negative news that's happening associated with a product. So I chose the GM recall for our example of negative product news. Here's the press release on the Apple iPhone 11. If you scroll down through this, you'll see lots and lots of images. Those images are being used to get you excited about the phone. But also you'll notice at the very beginning, they hit you with why this new phone is so cool and awesome and you really want it. And then as you scroll down, you get into the more nitty-gritty details about the phone. The GM recall example is here. We see GM moves to secure recalled ignition switches. So we see General Motors saying, hey, we've got a problem with these ignition switches, and we want to let you know that we're going to fix those for free. We could be writing a press release to try to describe some changes to our staff in the company. This is often done to talk about the high levels of management. So we've appointed somebody as the new CEO or the vice president for public relations. I've used a sports example here that some of you may know about. So a few years ago, the University of Wisconsin appointed Greg Gard as their head coach. And as you scroll down through here, you can learn information about Greg Gard and what he says about coming to University of Wisconsin to coach their basketball team. We can also use the press release to announce an upcoming event. We want to let the media or the public know about some good, interesting, exciting event we have coming up. So I've chosen the example of the Chicago Shakespeare events, just so you can see. So Chicago Shakespeare Theater on Navy Pier puts out a press release about the ongoing events associated with Shakespeare in the Chicago area. As you scroll down, you'll see information about the Shakespeare events going on in Chicago. We want to be clear and concise when writing a press release. We want to be sure to include the who. Who is this press release about? What? What is it that we're attempting to describe? What event are we planning? What do we want people to know? When? What time? What time frame is this press release about? If we're releasing a product, we want to tell people when that product is coming out. If we're announcing a new CEO of our organization, we want to say when she is going to be taking office. Where? The where is important. People need to know where this thing is happening. Why? Why is the event being held? What's the purpose of the event? How? How can they participate? How can they be involved in the event? So be sure if you're writing a press release for events especially, that you include the who, what, when, where, why, and how. You are going to write an event press release. That's your goal. I'd like it if you would expand on your invitation and publicize the visitor. So at this point, you've written a draft of an invitation to invite a visitor to come speak at an event that some group you're a part of is hosting. Now I'd like you to write your press release to publicize the visitor coming for your event. If you would prefer, you could create a new event for some specific audience and write about that instead. Use the press release to advertise the surrounding event. In other words, we're going to publicize the visitor, but in that press release, we are also going to talk about the event that we're hosting and the group and organization that's hosting the event. Remember, you're trying to attract attendees. Maybe get new members for your organization or generate money for your group. Choose an appropriate media outlet to write this to. When you're writing a press release, you should think of it as an inverted pyramid. You're going to use the decreasing order of importance method of development. You can go to our textbook and look at methods of development to get an idea of what that looks like. What it really means is start with the most important information at the top, and then work your way down to the finer and finer details. Often, people may only read the very first paragraph or the lead. So you want to include in that first paragraph all of the information people know to engage in your event, to engage with your invited speaker. So who, what, when, where, why, and how needs to be in that lead, in that very first part of the press release. Then in the body, you can begin to add additional details. And then you can get into even finer details or background information. So the most important thing is to get out there the 5 W's and the how, and then you can start talking about your organization and your event and your speaker in more detail. I've offered you an example here to look at for a press release tutorial. This is just going to offer you some additional information, so I strongly encourage you to watch this. In your book, you can look at the sections on method of development and press releases to help you get more ideas. Here's an example of what a press release looks like. This press release was put on company stationery, which is why you see this information up here at the top. If you're not using company stationery, you need to replicate this kind of information in your press release. You'll notice it says news release. There's contact information for immediate release. We've got a bolded headline here and a bolded city, state, and date. As you read through this, you'll see the most important information at the top, and then the information becomes more granular, and then there's background on the company here at the bottom. The least important information that a person would want to read, still things we'd like them to know, but less important. If this is the end of your document, then you finish your document with the 3 number signs. If your document continues on to the next page, then you use the dash, more, dash to indicate that there's a second page to the document. You'll notice that they've used a wider than single space line separations. That's to increase the readability for the editor who may be publishing this document. Think about who your audience is and generate a good press release. That's all for now. I'll see you again soon.